different industries. And yeah, I think I'll just run through a couple more things next. So in terms of the toys growth, we have since reached top 10 globally, and we're as high as number 6 in the US, and that was in 2018. It probably needs updating, to be honest with you. And we've got an annual revenue in excess of 500 million. And we indirectly employ over 5,000 people and produce 600,000 plus products a day. So we have a number of offices dotted around the world. Our main hub is in Shenzhen in China, where we've got around 500 plus people there. And so that includes like our creative team for toys, like merchandising, our showrooms, our IT, our finance, our HR, predominantly, and a number of other really, really awesome parts of the business. So we have an awesome hub over there, and we previously had expats or Kiwi graduates go work in that office. I myself, and I think Alex, were actually intended to go and work over in that office prior to COVID, but unfortunately COVID hit, and so we haven't managed to get over there. And I think my role is now permanently based in New Zealand, so it's a bit of a bummer, but hopefully get over there one day and visit. And yeah, as I mentioned, 25 brands and more in the pipeline. We've got some really massive brands like Bunch of Balloons. Five Surprise is becoming one of our biggest success brands as well. Rainbow Acorns, X-Shot, which is Alex's brand, is super, super awesome and a big competitor with Nerf. Hopefully doesn't give you anything to go off for this presentation, but yeah, so we're diversifying into that fast moving consumer goods category, and we've had so much growth in that industry in the last year, so it's really exciting to see. I'll touch on a couple of successes across our toys. So Five Surprise Mini, we've got 95k followers on TikTok, and that's just growing. So that's one of our main social media marketing platforms for that brand. So if you ever want to go see some really cool content, go follow them on TikTok. It's real fun. Lucy's a fantastic whiz, and she actually won an award for being one of the best influencers on TikTok or something like that, or best brands. So definitely go check that out. We've won a certain number of awards for our brands like Rainbow Corns, US Toty, so that's People's Choice Award. And then Bunch of Balloons is just like won awesome awards and had massive growth recently as well. So for X-Shot, it's number 2 toy in the dark glasses category and number 31 recognized brand. But I'm sure Alex will probably touch on a bit more of that later. Got some spinning renders in there. Woo. And then FMCG successes. So Rascal and Friends, we've launched like globally in a number of different areas, and it's won Best Snappy of the Year award in 2019, like Coles Non-Food Supplier of the Year in 2019, and a number of others. And Monday has been one of our most incredible brands as well. When we first launched it, we sold 6 months worth of stock in 4 weeks. So super crazy growth. And yeah, we're looking forward to seeing how that rolls out. I think we're launching in Canada soon, or we already have. Probably should touch up on that knowledge, but yeah, super exciting stuff there. And then we've got a number of other brands like Health by Habit, Dose & Co and Nude. Dose & Co is such an epic brand, and one of our key kind of wins there is that we've managed to sign Khloe Kardashian as the face of Dose & Co in the USA, and that's just been really exciting for us because, you know, we're little old New Zealand, you know, this little FMCG company, which is now growing to hopefully be one of the biggest ones, but we're getting to partner with people like Khloe Kardashian, who are massive names over in the US. And for this brand in particular, it's 100% plastic free packaging. So really cool on the sustainability side of things. And then, yeah, might let Lakin touch on the Nude successes later down the track in her brief. But yeah, so ZURU is all about thinking differently. We're not that traditional corporate. We are a flat structure. We move really quickly at a very fast pace, and we have a kind of culture of really driven, hardworking people who do like to have fun. It is tough at times, but it's definitely rewarding and it pays off. Super epic to be a part of a journey or a company that is trying to do things a bit differently. So at ZURU, we have massive goals, and we kind of believe that we're going to get there. we set the bar really, really high. So then even if we don't hit that, we've kind of gone even further than we really could have if we'd set the bar slightly lower. And something that we really focus on, or is a big focus for us now, is talent density. We want to have a culture of people who love working here, work really hard, are super intelligent, and, you know, just help make ZURU brands and the whole ZURU company as epic as it really can be. So part of our strategy is partnering with universities like yourselves, and partnering with Mike and you students to really kind of give you guys a taste of doing something really hands-on, like that you probably would get a chance to do if you did come into the business. And we want you to showcase your intelligence and, you know, your thinking and all of that. And then, you know, I think Liz will probably touch on it later, but we want to have the opportunity to get to know you and your like everything, so that we can kind of give great students opportunities to come into the business if there's the right opportunity at the time. But yeah, I think that might be me. Cool.
Awesome. And then we'll let Laken jump in.
Cool. Hi, I'm Laken, and I am an alumni from this class, but also like Auckland Uni. Nude is actually the brand that I pitched in this class in ZURU 2.5 years ago, which is like crazy to me. And now I work on the marketing team for it. And since coming on board, we've launched in Australia, New Zealand. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Since coming on board, we've launched in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, France, and this year we're set to launch in the UK, US, and then a few other territories in Europe, which is like super cool. I guess touching on like some of our wins, we sold like 550% over forecast when we first launched in Coles. We did launch during COVID, so there was a bit of a spike, which was kind of cool, but it was pretty impressive. And we're competing with some of the top brands now. Like I think we are ranked like almost 7th in Coles Australia. So that's competing against like your huge Pedigree, Whiskers, all of those other brands. And we've also overtaken like Purina One within 21 days of launch for their wet food. So yeah, I guess Nude is maybe like 18 months old now in market globally. And for this brief, we're kind of getting you guys to have a look at campaigns that are not just awareness, but kind of like retention too. So I don't know if you want to skip to the next page. Sorry, Liz. Yeah, so to give you some background, we are a premium pet food that is kind of bridging that gap between pet store quality and supermarket prices. Our co-founder, Alistair, who works super closely with Nick, they basically went through the supermarket aisle and they were like, there's nothing between the crap you get in store and supermarkets that's filled with like corn gluten meal, a whole lot of fillers, you know, heaps of unnecessary crap that's like made overseas. And then you go into a pet store and it's like $100 a kilo, you know, so many different options, but nothing's quite there for convenience and accessibility. So that's where Nude comes in. We launched in New Zealand last year in March, which was super cool. And since then have seen some, you know, really impressive results. So I don't know how much anyone knows about supermarket pet food, but it's a category that's dominated basically by 2 chocolate bar companies. If you think Nestle and Mars, they're like 2 of the biggest FMCG companies in the world, and they basically have like a duopoly in this category. Yeah, pet's not typically like a really transparent or honest industry. People can call their recipes beef and they can basically include like 2% real beef, and it's not, you know, anywhere near their primary ingredients. So for Nude, I guess the difference is we are real meat for our first 2 ingredients. We include superfoods, probiotics, like 0% artificial colors, flavors, preservatives, just kind of like all of that good stuff. We like to say there's no pesky fine print, just love and good food, a bit cheesy. So yeah, we're targeted at millennials, I'd say, and like a younger pet owning demographic, which is cool. So that's our packaging up there. You can see it's like very ingredient led, very like fresh, I guess, and it really stands out in store, which is super cool. Yeah, so that's a little bit of background about us. And I guess our task is for you guys to build a campaign that creates some hype around the brand as it matures in the New Zealand market. We've, you know, launched and created all of this hype around launch, but I guess the next step to that is just ensuring that we remain a relevant, disruptive brand, like, and stay super relevant to our audience of millennials. So yeah, our key messages, I guess, are around good, honest nutrition starts with good, honest ingredients. So like super ingredient heavy because they are amazing quality pet food. Good, honest nutrition fuels the fun. You know, pets bring joy and fun into your life, so why not? And yeah, no junk, no nasty surprises, no pesky fine print. Sorry, Liz, you gotta go. Thank you. So yeah, here's a bit of info around like our core audience. It's like kind of skewed towards women, we've found in the data we have, 20 to 45. So, you know, kind of you're still a millennial audience, and it kind of skews older as well. So you have your household purchases included. And then our broad audience is just anyone who owns a cat or a dog. So here's two kind of key personas, which you guys will be given as well. You've got like Sophie, who's a 28-year-old GoPro with like a huge work-life balance. She owns a Shih Tzu called Ben, who she looks after with her partner. She's engaged with like social issues, the environment, loves purchasing like organic, is sustainable, and considers Ben to be more than just her dog. So it's like her fur baby, essentially, and her best friend. And then you've got Angela, who's a busy mother who spends most of her time chauffeuring, these are super descriptive actually, chauffeuring her 3 young kids into their respective sporting and extracurricular events. She works part-time, does all the grocery shopping, and they've got like our family dog, a golden retriever that she walks every day. Obviously, you really care about them. So really hitting home in that like accessibility and convenience piece as well, being available at supermarket. Yeah, so your task, I guess, is to create a campaign. Like I said, as Nude matures into the market, just creating some hype, like some form of activation would be super cool to see your ideas. And the results are for people to be like aware of Nude as a new pet food brand to market, understand how it differs from competitor brands. So really hitting home in those kind of key messages around real meat first ingredients, like no junk, no nasties. That's kind of like going to be your key messaging throughout the campaign, I guess, and anything you can form around it. And obviously for people to purchase Nude. So it's, you know, around selling 50,000 bags of dry cat food and dog food. I probably didn't mention that, but most pet foods skew towards cat. Like you think Whiskers, they have cat food. You think Pedigree, they have dog food. We are for both. So we've got cat and dog in like sustainable salmon and cage-free chicken flavors, which is awesome. Some other objectives are just around building an engaged community. For us, we have like a super strong social digital focus. So, you know, community and high engagement is what we aim for all the time. And then just in terms of media, it's just considering like the reach and that you're hitting the right audiences. So that could be like, if you're renting out a billboard, thinking about what location of that billboard is, like who's going to be passing it. Is it in Ponsonby or is it in, can't even think of anywhere, but like out near Rosedale, near our offices, it's pretty industrial. So you probably wouldn't want to put up like a millennial billboard targeted at consumers when it's like nowhere near a supermarket. So just some things to consider. And yeah, I guess the challenges in pet food, which you do need to consider, is that pet loyalty is like 10 to 13 years, which is essentially the life of a pet. So it's like a really high barrier to entry. So it's like it's quite a big decision for someone to change their pet foods, because it also can like upset a pet's stomach. You don't know how your pet will react. Like you're taking a risk essentially. That will hopefully benefit you with like your pet having more energy or having a shinier coat. But it does take like 10 days to transition a pet over. So that is kind of like a niggle, because I guess if you're going for like efficiency, pick us up at the supermarket, but you do have to take 10 days to like slowly transition your pet over. And yeah, Nude is one of the best quality products in New Zealand supermarkets. I can say that hand on heart, which is like amazing and shocking to me that there isn't better quality pet food sold in supermarkets at a reasonable price. Like everybody wants a pet, and everyone wants to treat them the best, but not everyone can afford $100 a kg pet food from like a pet store. So yeah, you've got $200,000 to spend on the campaign, but I'm sure Mike has touched on kind of like all of those specifications. And I think that's all for me.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Lakin. And also just a note, at the end, we will do question and answers. So if you do have questions for Lakin or Alex later on, then we'll go through them there. But yeah, let's welcome Alex now.
Hey everybody. Yeah, so I am Alex. I work for ZURU. I'm sort of headed up X-Shot, Metal Machines, and now Max as well. So 3 of the toy portfolios. So a little bit different than what Lakin has. Obviously, that's been more of like a launch in the last sort of 2 years, whereas X-Shot's far more the sustainability, like sustaining the business and growing it. So we've already got the distribution in 80 plus countries around the world, and got that relationship with all the customers. Now it's just about how we can build it incrementally. And one of those things we're going to be doing, and one of the pitches we're going to be showing today, is actually those new items. So every year we sort of bring out new items. We pitch them 2 times a year. This one's an item that we have already pitched, and we're going to be launching into the US this year. But a little bit of background into X-Shot. So we are the number 2 brand in the blaster category, behind, as I'm sure you're all aware, Nerf, which is actually a really good thing for X-Shot, because we can piggyback off of their success, and a lot of their marketing as well, because they drive a lot of marketing dollars to the category, which we can then benefit from as customers go in store and see our value proposition. And then with that, Libby touched on this earlier, the 31st most recognized brand in the US, which is really amazing and testament to the level of X-Shot of the growth over the last few years. And then also, I guess X-Shot's definitely a value proposition. So driving those units is definitely a big thing for us. And we're selling tens of millions every single year globally, which is a fantastic thing. I have kept it away from New Zealand just because this is going to be a larger launch in the US, which makes it a little bit more exciting, I think. But yeah, I'll tell you a little bit more if we can go into the next page, please. Awesome. So X-Shot definitely comes under the toy side of the business, which is really fantastic. And we're going to be launching the Royale edition, which is actually electromagnetic chrome gold plated blasters. So this is standard blasters that you'll see. Think of Nerf, something we're all aware of and seen our entire lives. X-Shot really is just the same thing, the same quality, the same designs and aesthetics, but just at a cheaper price, which is amazing. So the blasters that we're going to be launching this year are actually just gold versions of those blasters. So really premium feel, but at the same time, because of our back-end efficiencies, we're able to provide still that value proposition to the customer. So X-Shot is targeted at boys between 6 to 16. There's enthusiasts that are far higher than that. You get 50, 60, 70-year-olds that have got YouTube channels on blasters. You'll be surprised. Honestly, I highly recommend going on YouTube and finding out the blaster community. It's a bit of a laugh. It's good. But 6 to 16 is our core demographic there. With this, as I mentioned earlier, quality and design is our biggest attribute. And owning the factories in the back end in China really allow us to continually grow that. The quality never is implemented, and also the designs are continually getting better, which is fantastic. And we piggyback what I said of Nerf. Nerf often drives customers in, and we convert. The thing with Nerf is in the category, quite often, I'm not sure if you've got siblings or cousins, but they'll probably say they've got a Nerf gun, and then you look at the brand and it's X-Shot. So yeah, it's really sort of like Lego and Hot Wheels. Those big brands have really just made the category their own. And then all these other businesses such as X-Shot can come in and obviously feed off that success. And then what we try to do and always striving for is up to 40% off compared to the brand leader. And in some situations, this can be up to 60%, which is fantastic. You'll see here there's going to be a slight discrepancy in the percentages of savings, because the range I'm going to talk to you about today is only at a 20% savings compared to the brand leader. Cool. X-Shot's launching this new Royal Edition in the US. This is going to be 3 different types of blasters, 3 gold blasters. They're providing that premium feel to the assortment while maintaining that value approach. And these are going to be sitting in market in September 2021. Cool. So your task is going to be building that hype around the product as it launches in the US market, while communicating key points of the brand. So brand position of Royale Edition will be to provide the same, if not better quality design as Nerf, while providing the customer with up to 20% cheaper prices. Cool. And then key messages will be that new, innovative aesthetic to the category, because there really isn't any full gold blasters like this. Just a note, we can't make full gold blasters. Legally, you can't, because it represents too much of a realistic thing. So we have done as much gold as we possibly can on the blasters. And then with that, better product, cheaper prices, providing the customer with a value alternative, and then endless fun, and as well as that, a premium product that's still cheaper than the Nerf standard versions. And then brand pillars, as I mentioned a lot today, it's price, quality, and design. Awesome. So audience, there's 3 key audiences we've outlined here. So the first is 6 to 12. This is, the younger users. Decisions influenced by peers and value you get. 12 to 16 is decisions influenced by brand and performance, as they start to potentially have their own money to make the purchase themselves. But the secondary, and the one that I guess we quite often target, is the parents of boys 6 to 11. Decisions influenced by price and quality. And then we've got a few audiences here as well. So the first one is Jack. He's a 10-year-old boy. So he enjoys playing with his friends at school and in the weekend. He's active and loves the outdoor activities, inviting friends over on the weekends and gaming when he's allowed to. But also, he owns a lot of these Nerf blasters. And with that, one that actually includes a lot of X-Shot blasters as well in his assortment. But he always wants the new and the cool toys. So when his friends come over, he can show these to him and play in that outdoor activity space. And then we've got Charlotte. So she's 34. It's a working mum of 2 kids. She's very busy and still relies on that dash to the store to get her needs. And when she's going to be going in, she normally has as a purpose. She comes across X-Shots on Instagram one night, after the kids are in bed, and she's pleased to see it's available in her local stores, most likely somewhere like Target. And then, Charlotte goes into one of the stores and notices the brand Nerf, which she's very familiar with, but then she's pleasantly surprised that the X-Shot blasters side by side provide the same quality, and often they actually shoot a lot further, and the packaging is normally far bigger, but at the same time it was a lot cheaper, so it was a win-win for her. Cool. So then your task objectives, as a result of this campaign, we really want to be getting the awareness up of the brand, understanding the value that X-Shot provides, and then there's just some key points there of just what we want to sell. So this is actually the first time I've mentioned the names. The 3 blasters are called the Hawkeye, the Reflex 6, and also the Kickback. So this is to build an engaged community of X-Shot customers to create that pest of power. Cool. And then one thing about X-Shot is we don't really do any TV. So we've based ours, around Facebook, YouTube, depending on the age demographic, really. So for our younger demographic blasters, we aim more YouTube. For the older ones, we've got a lot of influencers. Last year, we actually did a campaign where we made a huge blaster, which was 1,000 darts, and it had over 100 million views, which is amazing. It was a really fun campaign. So just chucking out there that those types of things are definitely worthwhile, and we have got that capability to build them in the back end. And then with that, obviously, you're really trying to build out as much as you can for that front end. Our social is a big part of X-Shot, and something we normally drive for if we're doing campaigns such as new launches, and then we're also doing promotions as well. We always try to sort of support our retailers with those promotions. Yep. And then the last thing is, I think it's the same for everyone. The parameters, there's $200,000 to spend on the campaign, and that's to pay for everything, including the promotions if that was something you were interested in doing, not necessary. And also customers quite often go 50-50 on those promotions as well. Considerations, X-Shot wants to be aspiring. So we never use that younger kid. We always try to be that older, cooler brother, and really sort of show the highest age we can for the specified demographic. Really, because we want to be aspiring for all of our marketing. Second one is the quality of the product is made from that automated factory line in our back end. I've mentioned that a few times today, but that's really what allows us to provide our customers with good prices so they can sell it onto their consumers, and the consumer then gets that amazing value for the same quality. Awesome.
Cool. Thanks so much, Alex and Lakin, for that. They're extremely busy, but really appreciate the efforts in creating those briefs. And so part of this is it will be a competition that is voluntary. So if you do wish to enter into this, This is kind of the prize package that we've put together. So yeah, completely optional, and you can submit your entries to me if you wish to partake. And then Mike also has the kind of full terms and conditions of what that competition, all the details and that includes. So he'll send that through to you after. But basically for the winning team, they will be invited to our office. We'll give them a full office tour and have lunch with some of our key ZURU leaders. And it'll be awesome to kind of introduce you to them, have conversations, and yeah, just a really good opportunity to connect. We will also give you a gift package of our ZURU products, so both Edge and toys. So we have amazing, with Edge, they're targeted at millennials and Gen Z, so they're very kind of relevant to us, but also the toys, extremely fun. Things like X-Shot, like I want them. So yeah, or you can even give them to, your cousins or nieces and nephews or any other kids. But yeah, and then also with that, we would give every member in the winning team an opportunity to get an interview to be considered for an internship. And as we kind of mentioned with, Lakin and Dasha, they've gone through this Marketing 306, competition, and they were both successful internships, and now they're permanent employees at ZURU. So it really is a good opportunity to get into ZURU. And then also the same for the runner-up team. We will also give them the opportunity to get an interview to be considered for internships. So that's something to note. And so my email is at the bottom of that. So if you do wish to submit, then you can forward that to me. Cool. And now we will start with Dasha. And so she will tell you a bit about her experience and give some advice. And then following that, we'll get with Lakin.
Awesome. Thank you, Liz. Hey guys, my name is Dasha. You might still recognize me because I was a serial class rep in my last 2 years of uni, and I've only finished uni last semester. So it's all very fresh, and I absolutely love this class. So I was in your exact shoes exactly 1 year ago, sitting in that class, being super excited, next speech and presentation of ZURU. And now, sort of half a year later, I got an internship through our awesome Libby, who presented earlier. I started off as a community manager intern, and now I'm heading up the whole customer service department over at Toys. So I have been hiring a team out of India, and I'm currently training them to completely sort of restructure our customer service processes. And it's been an absolute blast. It's a huge responsibility. And I think a really unique thing about ZURU is the autonomy that you get in your projects, and sort of the amount of responsibility it's placed in you is beyond any of that you would get as a new employee or new in the business at any other company. And I think I would love to share a few quick advices with you in regards to this project. My team came up as a runner-up, and we worked on the toilet paper brand, which still I don't think has launched, but it's hopefully launching soon. So I think the most few important things are make sure you finish your assignment a little bit early and you polish it up. Don't hand it in half finished, because attention to details is everything. I think secondly, do focus on the creativity aspect of it. Come up with multiple creative solutions to the issue. I think the creativity is arguably even more important than the technical aspects. And then thirdly, make sure that now when you're selecting the group, you find people who you align with on your aspirations and goals. I think that will be really important to make sure that other people on your team are just as prepared to work hard or less hard, depending on what you're trying to achieve. And hopefully you're not going to have to do it in online conditions, which we did. We only got 2 or 3 weeks at the beginning of semester. The rest had to be done online. But if you do, make sure initially you subdivide your tasks as well as possible, and make sure that the members of your team have different skill sets. So don't grab a team of like 6 people that are, I'm sure you're all really smart, but make sure different people have different skills. Like get someone who's good at art or design, get someone who's creative, get someone who's good at maths. Like that was essential. Also, make sure you have your regular meetings with very structured agendas And definitely take notes when you do have those meetings, because some ideas can pop up at last minute while you're reviewing those notes from previous meetings, because it all just ties together. And I think last one is don't miss your lectures, because you can use every single bit of theory and content that Mike teaches you to back up your creative strategy and show off your newly gained knowledge. But yeah, good luck, guys. This is probably my most favorite course I've ever taken at uni. It's so hands-on, it's so fun, and you get to work on such awesome brands with both Lakin and Alex, who are so passionate about their brands, which is very inspiring. But yeah, good luck to you all. I'm sure you're going to smash it.
Did you want me to start? Yeah, I guess I kind of covered everything I had to say, but like just an emphasis on how ZURU is like not like other FMCG brands and companies. Like we really care about attitude, about like putting in the work. So, I mean, it's crazy to me that I pitched Nude 2 years ago and now I'm literally launching Nude into the USA in a few months. Like I was one of the first 12 employees, and since then we've gone through like a hyper growth phase. We are now at like 112, I think it is, which is just like wild that through COVID, through working from home, we grew so fast. Like it's pretty inspiring. And in terms of the project, like I guess just think outside the box and really think about your target market. You know, like I think you'll always be asked why, you know, don't just get a billboard for the sake of getting the billboard. That's a terrible analogy, but like just always know why, like your reasoning behind each piece of media is, and you know, things like that. I guess, yeah, you never know what opportunities this could bring you. We're always looking for good talent, and like feel free to reach out to like Libby, Liz, me, Dasha, anyone, because we're always happy to have a chat, even if you just want to learn a bit more about ZURU. If this is like your final semester at uni, like that was mine, and this was one of my last papers. And I was actually looking to go into accounting, and then I met ZURU, and it's just been like such an amazing journey. I've now been here for almost 2 years, and it's just like, it's wild. It's so cool. And I can't believe it's happening in New Zealand. So yeah, get in touch if you want. But yeah, that's kind of cool.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys, for sharing that. I'm sure that was incredibly helpful, to the students. And I guess we're kind of ending now. So we have time for question and answers. I know we just bombarded you all with lots of information, but if anyone has a question now, you can feel free to kind of unmute yourself or maybe type it in the chat. We'll wait for a few minutes, and then if nothing comes up, then of course we'll distribute our emails out if you did have other questions. But yeah, does anyone have any kind of immediate questions that they wanted to get into?
I'll get the ball rolling, and I'm sure Bodo is poised and ready to ask a question because he probably fell asleep halfway. Nothing to do with your presentation. It's just the way Bodo is. He's like one of those really excitable dogs that like just run around and then it'll just crash. I've got a question. Okay, and this is one that will that typically does come up. I think I've got the answer, but I want to hear it from you guys. So some students who are super keen, super innovative will be like, are you open to product redesign for the purposes of this campaign? And so we really need to know, given the budget you're saying the students have to use, whether that is something beyond the scope of this advertising and promotions paper, or if you would consider small redesigns, or basically kind of what is the flexibility of the parameters for both projects.
I'm not sure about Alex, but I think because we've launched, like we will probably stay true to like who we are as a brand, with like our good, honest ingredients. And I guess there's not really much room for innovation. So it might have been more of an Alex question because you can't really change a pet food once it's made.
Yeah, so my more product-based that can be changed. But with XShot, we can provide our customers with the value and the cheaper prices by back-end efficiencies. So we always try and keep it very, very SKU rationalized. And with that saying, we definitely don't like to make any adaptations. We do the odd customization, but for the purpose of this brief, I would suggest not to change anything product-wise.
Yeah, great. That was exactly the answer I was wanting to hear. This is for the students, this is an advertising and promotions paper, not a marketing strategy paper. So Dasha's smiling there because she's done both of those papers, so she'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So this is a paper where the product has already been made based on the best data available. And so your job is to advertise and promote it, not to redesign it. If you want to do that, that's 301. So that's great to hear that from both brands. The other question, this one's for you, Alex. I'm going to put you on the spot. By the way, bro, you have my dream job, creating foam shooters. You probably, like, what is your daily 9 to 5? You just go to the office and start shooting people with these foam things, probably, right? And people are like, oh, that's bloody Alex, I'm trying to concentrate, stop hitting me.
Yeah, I get pretty off of me, bro.
But I'm sure with that job, with that power, comes with great responsibility. And so I'm going to throw a hard question at you. What is your position on A, the gender stereotyping of your brand, and B, the fact that it is selling a plastic violent item? Ooh.
Yeah, you really threw me under the bus there, right? So yeah, gender stereotype. I guess the first point is on our packaging, our render is of a male. That's probably the first point. Like, we definitely are aiming for guys. All of our marketing is with young lads. And with that, it's come from basically just demand. So we actually have in the past have had pink blasters, just neutral blasters, no renders of male or female, and they simply haven't worked. They just weren't selling. It caused us a lot of back end, issues in terms of product sitting with customers, which is never a good sign. So I guess the first thing for that is we definitely target boys because it is the way that it's working, and it has worked in the past. And then for your second one, yeah, plastic violent toys. There's two issues there, I guess you could say. The first one, I guess, is so the second one I'll go with is in terms of violent toys. That's one way to put it. I'd put it a different way. I'd say, firstly, the soft foam toys that don't hurt. We've got KEDs, so we don't kinetic energy, so it has to be under a certain amount of power. New Zealand, actually, funny enough, KED laws are actually changing. So if you're buying foam blasters this year, you'll get more powerful versions. But yeah, so I guess that's a way of looking at it. They do represent something that is violent in the world. However, I'd see it as a different version of that. Plastic, that is a tough one. And in saying that, we don't intend on, sort of in the immediate future anyway, we don't intend on making them made of recycled plastic. But what I will say is we try to minimize our packaging. So I'm not sure. I think on the brief that we're going to be sending out to you, we don't use any plastic in our packaging. A lot of Nerf ones come in window boxes, which, if you don't know, it's just like think of like a Barbie, it's normally got that plastic bit on the front, whereas we keep ours very minimalistic and purely just use cardboard. So I know it's not a big push, but it definitely is a way that we can counter that compared to our competitors.
Yeah,
fantastic. Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Just worth touching on though, like, I know we just as like a wider marketing team always have discussions around like sustainability and also catering to this like kind of different gender norms and kind of defying those. So if you did have ideas around that, we are more than open to that, and like we'd actually love to see different spins you can take, or like different angles. So like always make sure that your campaigns are relevant to today's world, and make sure that they're kind of like, if you think we could take like a cool sustainability approach from either of the brands, that would be a cool push, because that's kind of relevant in trending topics and where the world's heading, and then you can apply that to like us and our brands.
Yeah, thanks for that, Lachlan. But great response, Alex. We did not rehearse that at all, so I really did push you under the bus, but you crawled out from under there and survived. I did buy the X-Shot water guns for my daughter at Christmas. We have fun with those in the pool, and you're right, the packaging was cardboard, and the only plastic was the kind of funny little buttons that hold the gun in place. But we're very pleased to see none of that window single-use sort of packaging, so that's good. So yeah, but I guess one reason why this project is so cool is that if you guys are ethically opposed to guns, then please feel free to join other similar minded students, and you can work on the sustainable pet food. So we've got the options there. I've noticed a couple of questions from students, so I'll just read them here. So one directed to Alex: are you looking to differentiate from Nerf or compete more directly, or could you go either way?
Yeah, so good question. Firstly, I guess you can definitely go either way. We're not opposed to either, and we've tried both different forms in the last sort of 12 months. So in terms of comparing directly to Nerf, we've done some marketing campaigns where we literally put the Nerf, because we first point on this actually is we can use the Nerf logos on our marketing. We can compare them as long as there's a reference point there. But with that, we have had Nerf is X price with this amount of darts and this blaster, and then X shot, which is like twice the size, has twice the amount of darts, is X amount cheaper. So we do a head-to-head with that. And then, as I mentioned here earlier in the brief, that the gold blasters, like, they're so different in the category. Like, this is like a really premium feel to the category, and it isn't sort of something you see on shelf at the moment. So you could differentiate it as well in showing that. So yeah, really, the floor is open, and that's the good thing about ZURU. Like, we just like to try new stuff. Like, there's no one set way to do anything. So just be creative here and just feel free.
Okay, thanks for Alex. And Larkin, you've got a question. How has digital marketing been important for Nude? What platforms have been the most effective so far?
Yeah, so I think ZURU Edge as a whole, we have a huge social digital focus, just with the new ways of the world. And I'm not too sure what landscapes you guys are studying, whether that's still quite out of home and media focus, but yeah, social digital, all of that has been super important for us, Instagram, Facebook, Google AdWords, all of that stuff. But equally, I think out of home media, so that's kind of your radio, your anything you see out of home. So I keep saying billboards, but all of those actually do have their place in a marketing campaign as well. So I think whatever you think is most relevant, where do you consume media? Because essentially you guys are the target market of that millennial space, would be super important. But I will say in pet, we can't just sell our pet food brand on an aesthetic. You can't just have a really pretty Instagram and have a few digital ads and think it's going to work out. So things like seeing pet food on TV, or seeing it in a radio campaign, or seeing it in a billboard really builds credibility and trust around our brand, because you kind of see them out of scope, and you're oh, that must be, it's dumb, but you kind of make that link and you see it on TV and you're wow, they're on TV, they must be the big guys. So yeah, I think every platform is super important, but definitely skewed towards social and digital for us.
Related to that, I'm swinging this back to Alex. With the age demographic you're interested in, are you guys using TikTok?
Yeah, actually, it's a really good point. It's something I was actually keen to raise. So TikTok is a platform that we launched into last year. We work with an agency who make us pieces of content every single month. But what we do with Xshot, and I'm sure it's the same for a lot of the brands within ZURU, is we do a lot of influencer campaigns, large influencer campaigns that are next level. So for example, the most recent one we did, imagine a customized suitcase half the size of your dinner table, filled with literally fully chrome gold plated blasters with just epic stuff. We just sent it out to influencers just because. And these are blast enthusiasts or really cool content creators. And to answer your question there, a lot of those were on TikTok, because it's a platform that's so new. A lot of the content creators are willing to get virtually nothing or a small amount of payment, and they can drive ridiculous views. Talking millions of views for a lot of the content creators you're going to pass it to. So yeah, we definitely use TikTok. And with that, a cool strategy that we have been implementing in the last sort of couple of months is using that UGC for our own content. We've used it for social media campaigns, which have performed some of the best, better than some of the photography that we've done ourselves in-house. So yeah, definitely using TikTok, and a key point there is UGC.
Great. Boda, do you have any questions?
I had to laugh, Mike, when you said he's fallen asleep. I did not fall asleep. I was busy. I've got a page full of stuff to ask, but I'm trying to trim it down to the most important things. I've got things actually for Larkin and for Alex. So maybe, Larkin, if I can start with you, and I keep it short because I know we're running close to time. Targeting, have you got any geographic targets on your mind at all? Because you gave us a nice summary of your target market, but are there any geo targets if in case the students want to do anything that's out of home? And really basic question, that's a nuts and bolts thing. Does the budget you've given the students include the creation of creative, or is it the total budget, or is it media budget?
So I would say that in terms of geo-targeting, when we look to use any like Shout Media, Phantom Bill sticker posters or QMS or Lumo billboards, we always look at using the ones within a 5K radius of New World, Pack and Save and Foursquares, because that's where we're available. I don't actually think I mentioned that, sorry. So that would be like a key factor if you're thinking like, oh, let's do this huge out-of-home media campaign. Definitely keep it around supermarkets, because you know, then you pass a New World and you're like, oh, I'll see that, or like vice versa when you're going shopping. And then in terms of media budgets, I think that's just for me. Is that just for media amplification and not for creative? I'm not too sure. I think it's just for amplification. So you can assume that creative is like, you know, separate to that, and then your whole campaign, just how you amplify it, will be that 200K.
Okay, super. That's great. Thanks, Larkin. Kia ora, Alex. Very similar question for you in terms of the budget, but then also sort of a more of a nuts and bolt question. Are there any additional benefits to the new Royale range in addition to the aesthetics? So is there anything else that students could be claiming, like there's slightly greater reach or greater precision, or is it just, it makes me feel good because the thing is gold plated? Yeah,
so good question. In terms of the key point of differences that you have to Nerf, Nerf has got a very, very large range. That's probably a first point to say. And one thing I actually put on the brief that I'll pass over is a full list of our blasters for eShop. But it depends what you compare it to. So Nerf normally has a slightly less power. So they shoot around 80 feet, whereas ours shoot around 90 feet. So that would be a cool point of difference. However, other than that, it really is just the aesthetic of looking better. In the blaster category, that's really what it's about. It's not about necessarily innovating. It's just about having the best looking blaster, you know, at an affordable price.
Well, that's a great answer. Thanks, Alex. I mean, one strategy, you know, Mike asked a really good question. You don't want to change, obviously, the design of the Royale range, but would you consider something like creating this idea of limited availability? Because, you know, this is obviously a slightly more premium product compared to your normal X-Shot range. And so immediately in my marketer's brain, I thought, oh, you know, could you just drip feed this into the market a little bit and create this, you know, a little bottleneck in terms of supply?
Yeah, so just in terms of backend, we have an MOQ of 20,000 units, just for us to even think about opening the factory. So in terms of limited edition, we really try and stick away from that. We often for our larger customers, we do customizations, but for the purpose of this, I'll probably steer that more towards a limited edition for an influencer base, because that still drives that hype and then drives the customers to store.
I would say also, if you want to find like more information around us, you can check all of our social channels. This is also a plug for my one because we're almost at 10,000 followers, but Nude Pet Food on Instagram.
Cool. I've got a question here. What influencers are you guys working with already?
For Nude, we actually just work on we do like an initial drop of influencers when we launch a product, and then we'll work like on a subscription basis with them, with like maybe 10 VIP ones. In New Zealand, we work with kind of like the likes of like Kennedy Anderson, Kobe Bracken, gosh, I'm trying to blank here. And in Australia, we work with some Montana Pitt, hopefully Steph Claire Smith. Like it just kind of varies, but in pet food, it's not like the most influency aesthetic brand. So we mainly work on like a stories contra base rather than like a paid post base.
Cool. And Alex?
For X-Shots, New Zealand isn't a massive market for us. So people like Jimmy Jackson, Joseph Parker, and a few other names, but in the US is a predominant area just because of that's the biggest market for us. But it wouldn't be names we know of, and normally it's just TikTok people that are quite famous. And then alternatively, the Blaster community that I mentioned earlier, which is a bit of a hoot, but it actually is genuinely a very, very, very large, following. So a lot of the influencers, we call it the X-Shot League. X-Shot League is essentially our influencer base. And with that, it's predominantly, I'd say 80%, or maybe 30% Blaster enthusiasts, and then 70% just cool influencers that we find online. We think we can create cool content for us.
Great. I've got a question about metrics. I could probably partially answer this. What metrics are you using to determine the success of a campaign? I think bottom line are those units sold that you guys have already outlined. That's the primary metric we're looking at. Beyond that, obviously there'll be other metrics in terms of people reached via the various media that's chosen, but that's pretty much up to each group to determine. In order to sell these units that ZURU wants sold, how many people do we have to reach via what sorts of media? Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that. I can potentially pass you some more specific stuff though, just like what our targets are. Might be helpful for you guys to sort of aim it off and just base your metrics off.
I see the question, would you consider collaborating with another toy item or brand for X-Shot and attempt to gather that audience as well, Alex? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, just reading that through. Yep, we would. We haven't really necessarily done that in the past. We have done it with X-Shot Waterside. This is more X-Shot darts. But yeah, open to the idea. Yeah, definitely don't feel like you can't do that for sure. As long as it's just really when you're doing it, just make sure it's the right fit. And then also understanding with a lot of the larger toy brands, some of them can be own things like Nerf like is owned by Hasbro. Hasbro owns a lot of toy companies, so you have to sort of be quite strategic there in who you're asking. Yeah,
great. On that note, that was quite a good question, a creative question. So I realize some of the students here are reluctant to share their creative questions on a public forum because they want to keep those ideas to themselves. So feel free to email the teaching staff or get in contact with ZURU at a more personal level if you have questions that you kind of are saving for your own team. It's perfectly fine to do that, and we won't share that question with any other students unless they ask exactly the same question, in which case we can make it efficient and let the answer be known. But the general questions we'll make known to everyone, but the specific creative questions that might give a team an advantage, we'll respect that privacy. So I'm going to wrap up with a bit of admin. I'm going to share screen and take everyone to Canvas. Okay, and just to show everyone, and while this is recording as well, just to show where the terms and conditions are. So can you guys see the screen on right now, the Marketing 306 screen? Yep, cool. Yes, okay, so this is the student view, guys. What's going to happen is we do a lot of the teaching through modules. I'm sure Bodo's already explained. Under modules, there are the term and conditions of this Marketing 306 challenge. So please have a look at that if you want to be in the competition, which hopefully will end up with you having a shot at being interviewed for an internship, as well as being invited to the head office if you're one of the top teams. So these are the terms and conditions. Essentially what that's saying is that if you want to compete for those prizes, then you're signing the rights to your ideas over to ZURU. But it's completely voluntary for you to not do this competition and simply participate in the assignment. Okay, so the way that works is under people and groups, I've set up these the streams that we talked about already. So we've got competing priorities. So ZURU doesn't need to worry about this too much. The students know what they're doing here. But what I want to point out is that we need groups of students that agree on whether they want to compete or not. And so if you do not want to compete and you only want your assignment graded for academic reasons, then you need to find other students that agree with that and join these sorts of streams where it's labeled as academic assessment only. And for each type of stream, the high engagement, there's also the academic assessment only. And if you scroll down to standard engagement, there's also academic assessment only. So if you are in those groups, ZURU will not have access to your ideas. Therefore, they can't be later on accused of stealing your ideas. On the other hand, if you're keen to compete in this challenge and you want to have a shot at going to lunch and meeting the leaders and interviewing for an internship, then you can join any of the other teams that are in the correct streams for you. And then we will get you to voluntarily email your ideas to Liz once I think it's May the 26th is when those assignments are due. Okay, but I ask you guys to have a look at the terms and conditions, and afterwards ZURU will provide the specific briefs to the two brands. So one for Xshot, covering a lot of the information they've already discussed here, but with a little bit more detail, and another one for Nude. And within that, there will be those metrics restated again, as well as the background information and the personas, and hopefully some imagery that you guys can use in your creative. Okay, this session is being recorded, so later on I'll post it under here somewhere. And I've also got a YouTube video about those streams that we're talking about, just to make sure that people, like Dasha said, make sure you're in a group with like-minded motivations and aspirations and prioritization, that will not only minimize group issues, but make sure that everyone is on the same page in terms of the commitment. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Do you guys, does ZURU have anything to add?
Yeah, sorry, Mike. I was just going to jump in and say, like, we've worked with Mike to put these kind of terms and conditions in place, more or less for your guys' kind of benefit. Like, I'd just like to reiterate that our engagement with this paper is specifically to collaborate with students and give you guys really awesome opportunities and build our talent density. If like we think you're amazing and like following your presentation and your interview and we want to bring you into the business, that's our ultimate goal. Like, we're not actually engaging in this paper to take your ideas and use them in our own campaigns. A lot of the time, specifically for these ones that these guys have just like briefed you on, like a lot of the ideas have already been generated and it will already be going into market. But yeah, I just want to stress that like these are here for your benefit, not necessarily just ours. Like, we really want to kind of get you to showcase your talent and give you guys opportunities. This is more for employer branding and talent density purposes. But yeah, Mike's been fantastic collaborating with us. And if you do have any questions at all about the terms and conditions that are outlined there, then please just either chat to Mike or chat to Liz or chat to myself, etc. Like, we are more than happy to have a discussion with you. Cool. Sorry, thanks, Mike.
Yeah, no, thanks for that, Libby. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, ZURU is constantly thinking about how to promote their own brand. So it's very likely that any ideas you come up with, they already have. And for those of you that are worried whether you will be unfairly treated or graded because you're either in the academic assessment only team or the competition team, the answer to that is no. We basically get all students to submit their assignments to Canvas on the due date, and we grade them all exactly the same using exactly the same academic criteria. The only difference is that those that want to compete in this challenge and be noticed by ZURU will send their assignments separately to Elizabeth at this email that you can see here, Elizabeth Wang Chui. And so that's voluntary and it does not affect your grade in any way, but it will obviously expose you to career opportunities, but that's completely up to you. We do not force you to participate in any way beyond what's necessary for you to earn your degree. Bodo, as course coordinator, do you have anything to add?
Not really. I just wanted to say, I've been teaching this course for a long time and I've collaborated with all sorts of clients, and I think you guys are super organized. It's fantastic to see so many young faces. The briefings were really clear. Awesome job. So I haven't worked with you personally, but it looks super. It looks really good. So I'm really looking forward to this. Thank you so much for giving our students the opportunity.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, great.
Thanks so much, guys.
Yeah, thanks for everyone. And I'll receive those briefs and I'll put them up on Canvas as soon as I get them. And you'll have contact details for students to reach you more directly. Yeah.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. See ya.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Have a great week.
Okay, bye.
See you.